What's going on, guys? How's it going? We'll get this show started in a second. There's something I gotta fucking say. It's about this school shooting. It is a tragedy. But you know what? Stop blaming fucking guns and the fucking NRA. The NRA is not going out and telling people to shoot people. They're not going out telling these kids to go out and shoot people. They're not going out telling these other people to go out and shoot people. They're fucked in the head. They need help. It's a mental illness thing. It's also parenting. Parenting is a big fucking issue as to why this is happening. It's not the NRA. They aren't doing anything. They're an advocate for gun owners. That is all they fucking are. Yes, they lobby. But Democrats have fucking lobbies too. Don't fucking sit there and blame the fucking Republicans because the NRA is giving them fucking money. The NRA is not going out telling people to shoot other people. Don't make any fucking sense. Parents, grow the fuck up. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. If that's the case, let's just take everything away. A fork, a knife, a spoon for that matter. Jesus Christ, let's just fucking get rid of rocks too. Those can be used as a weapon. They can kill people. Give me a fuck. Let's just cars. Take cars away. They kill people. You seen it this past summer. I'm just saying I am brokenhearted as the next person. But you know what? Stop blaming guns for fucking everything. It's the people. It is people. P-E-O-P-L-E. People. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Stop blaming the NRA. It's annoying, people. I don't understand how the liberal fucking left wing of politics thinks that fucking guns kill people. It takes a fucking person to pull the fucking trigger. That being said, let us start the show. So I was going to play some music, but I couldn't get it to work for some reason. So, that being said, let's bring in the panel, the usual panel. And there they are. You got Heather, Bobbitt, and the host of the show, Gatekeeper Drew. Let me get rid of this Wrestling Memories thing. Go ahead and start talking, Drew. I gotta fix this.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Wrestling Memories, Episode 7. As you can see from the thumbnail, we are going to start off with a little bit of topics about women's wrestling. And we're not going to mention why my computer just decided to restart itself and do updates. So I might not be able to see the chat for a little bit. I delayed that thing. Anyways, so I want to talk about best and worst female wrestlers to start things off. You can talk about current, which I know Asuka will come up. We can talk about the past and talk about Fabulous Moolah, Wendy Richter, Lundra Blaze, Lita, Trish. What's everyone's thoughts on that? Best and worst female wrestlers? I will go to the person that's not holding a toy right now, Heather.
Well, of course, we all know that one of my favorites is Luna Vachon. So, she was one of the first out of the new era of women to actually show the tough side. I mean, yes, I'm this hardcore metal chick that will work out with chains and fucking kick your ass at the same time. And then along comes little Miss Sable. Little Miss Pretty Thing that could barely do anything in the ring. Who I think is basically where they got the idea for people like Cum Dumpster and fucking Cum Dumpster 2.0 to be brought into the industry. Yes, you want your women to be pretty, but you also want them to be able to fight, which none of them knew how to do. So, with that, I guess there was a time where Sable was the leader of the faction of the Freaks, which included Luna, but if you remember, Luna was the muscle out of the two. So, I mean, if we want to get into the current wrestlers, definitely Asuka, you got Charlotte, you have Becky Lynch, you have Sarah Logan, who's slowly coming up in the ranks, as we witnessed on Tuesday. Sasha still has a lot to learn, even though she's been ahead of the game by being on the main roster for so long already. But she still has a lot to learn. Bayley still has a lot to learn as well, but she's definitely a lot smoother than Sasha is. I will say that. I mean, we could talk about that all night long. That's pretty much all I got. I mean, I loved Lita, I loved Trish, but my mainstay for all-time best thus far in the industry, up to the point of Asuka, for me, would be Luna Vachon.
Okay. I'd like to add actually one more thing to this. Favorite moment in women's wrestling? And if you need a minute, that's fine. I can move over to Bobbitt or something, but...
There were a couple moments, actually. And with women's wrestling, and you have these stronger women like Karma, Chyna, and all of them coming in. Of course, with Chyna being the first and only woman to ever hold the Intercontinental Championship. And then, of course, with other titles, you have Terry Reynolds being Terry Reynolds, Molly Holly, I think it was as well, holding the Hardcore Championship for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And one of the Godfather's hoes.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were forced to actually name because they're like, oh shit, we got to put it in the record books now.
Exactly. So it's, when it comes to that, it's great to see the women's division being given the opportunity to hold something that's more geared towards the men and actually have them succeed in it, especially in the case of Chyna.
Mm-hmm.
With that one-on-one match for a major title that's held a lot of prestige behind it.
And if you recall, she actually started out being a co-champion with Chris Jericho before they finally decided her as the only champion.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Which I won't get into that yet because that might be something I mention when it gets back around to me. So, anything else on that topic?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
All right. Well, Mr. Stuffed Animal, what do you got for us?
Well, my view of women's wrestling has been very different over the years because, like I said, I grew up during the Attitude Era back when women wasn't treated as equal as men. Not only that, but I grew up during the bra and panties era as well, so that didn't help out things either. And like everybody knows, my favorite current woman superstar is Asuka. Like Asuka is one of the best female wrestlers I've ever seen. History-wise, you know, it's going to have to be Lita, Trish, Tori Wilson, Michelle McCool, Kelly, you know. And my favorite moment of women's wrestling would have to be Chyna entering the Royal Rumble and her winning the Intercontinental Championship, because that was the first time women was actually seen as equal to men. And, and you don't see that nowadays. You don't see a woman win an Intercontinental title. And, it's just, it was big back then, and it's still big now.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on that?
No.
All right. Well, Mr. J.P. Baker, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to go back to this. Reign. Bayley versus Sasha is not the best women's moment. It was a very good, modern-day women's moment. The greatest women's moment has to be, for me, when Chyna won the Intercontinental title. She was the only woman, the first woman to ever win that title. Yes, it was held with Chris Jericho, but she won that title. And she defended it, too. She could wrestle with men. You see, like, Abby Lade and Candice LeRae. You still see women able to wrestle with men. Yes, they are smaller than they are. But they take a beating and they keep on ticking. I watched a match with Kimber Lee. She got the shit beat out of her by 5 guys. And she was there the next fucking day competing. So don't tell me a woman can't do what a man can do. Because they can. Okay? The worst moment? The Attitude Era.
The whole Attitude Era. You're just
women,
like, fuck
with
that
the
all.
women, yes. With the women, yes. Well, not Chyna so much, but with the women in the fucking bra and panty matches, the pillow fights, so fucking dumb. They were treated, some of them women were good at what they did. Trish Stratus became a very talented in-ring performer. Yes, she needed to develop, but she was brought in as eye candy from the start. You don't... Lita. I mean, look at what she... Immediate impact. And they brought her as soon as the Matt Hardy and that had nothing to do with the Attitude Era. That was the Ruthless Aggression Era, but it just... The whole Attitude Era, I hated it with the women. They were treated horribly. Treated like pieces of fucking meat. Not fair.
All right. Well, one thing I want to mention, and this is kind of a current topic, and is what name do we not mention? What name did the three of you not mention, but what name did the three of you all mention?
Chyna?
You all mentioned Chyna. But what soon-to-be inductee of the Royal Rumble did no one mention? Just to further the point of why the fuck isn't she there? Nothing against Ivory, but why the fuck isn't she there?
Isn't Chyna there?
Correct.
Me and Heather talked about this actually, briefly. I think we've talked about it briefly.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I think, well, Heather is because of her addiction at first. And I think they kind of, and I'll let Heather elaborate on it. She does a better job than I do, but it had to do with her addiction. She didn't want to help. And I didn't know that. So I'm going to let Heather elaborate on that because she has the right answer. I do not. Go ahead, Heather.
So to be clear, why is Chyna not in and Ivory is?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I thought you were saying that.
Right, no. I wanted to clarify so this way I don't sound like an asshole. But basically what it boils down to, because you notice Chris Benoit, he's still not in the Hall of Fame as well. And he's not going to be until everybody forgets what you keep poking JP with.
Right.
So, with the case of Chyna, I mean, countless of wrestling YouTubers have sat there and said, if the WWE cared, she maybe wouldn't have drank herself to death. Excuse me. The WWE cared. She did not care about herself. Because even after she sat there and started getting herself back together, most of you in the chat will probably remember the hit show Celebrity Rehab. She was on it for her alcoholism. And through the entire fucking 3-month show, she fucking sat there. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. So what? I go out and drink 5 drinks in a row. I don't have a problem. So with that, they finally sat there and said, we're done. We've tried to help you. We've done this for you. We've done that for you. We've done this for you. And you're still having issues because you refuse to admit that you have a problem. So that's when she started doing the yoga, and it's when she started doing the pornos, and that's when she started begging the WWE for help again, because finally it clicked in her brain that she had a problem. Only problem is, it was too fucking late. And that's why she drank herself to death. Now, with that being said, because of all of those issues, that's why she is not in the WWE, nor Hall of Fame, nor will she be in the WWE Hall of Fame until they decide that her history outweighs her issues.
And it's not
which you're starting to already see that her history is outweighing her issues, because now they have no problem showing previous matches.
And it's not her porn career either. It has to do with her alcohol issue and drug issue.
One thing I wanted to mention, JP, you said before Heather took over that China's not in because of her past drug issues.
Yeah.
Then why is Scott Hall in?
Because, think about it. I shouldn't have to fucking say it.
You're going to say he's no longer on drugs.
I'm not saying that.
Or alcohol.
I'm not saying that.
Because he's one of Triple H's boys.
What was he a part of?
The NWO, yeah.
The Clique.
Oh, the Clique, yeah.
Who was in the
Well,
Clique?
that's what I said, he's one of Triple H's boys.
Yes. That's the reason why he gets in over China. What happened between China and Triple H?
Yeah, that's true.
And Triple H cheated on her with Stephanie.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think it's a bullshit deal.
Yeah, it is, and I agree with you. Well, on that end of the spectrum, but that should still not hold her back from getting into the Hall of Fame. On that end of the spectrum. Go ahead.
I have to touch on something in the chat here. BSR, Triple H was dating Chyna before he even winked at Stephanie McMahon. So,
Yep.
That little statement right there is null and void.
Yep. Yep. Triple H and Chyna were an item before Chyna became. Triple H got her into the WWE, yes. But they were an item. They were dating. They met working out. That's how they became an item. That's how they became, how she got in there. They were an item.
Okay. Well, to go back to the original topic and answer my best and worst and memorable moments, my best women wrestlers, I think you guys mentioned them all. I don't think I need to bore everyone with the same names again. With worst...
I didn't even go over my best wrestlers.
Oh, you didn't? I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I thought you actually asked best moments.
I did, but it was in conjunction with.
Right now, my favorite wrestler is Asuka. She is the best women's wrestler in the world today. The worst women's wrestler today is either Tamina or Lana. They can't even fight themselves out of a wet paper bag. And then you have back. Lita was better than Trish. It was just Trish was more. How do I say this without sounding like a chauvinistic pig? She was more what the WWE wanted as a face for the women's division, if that makes sense. Yes, Lita got her shots. Yes, Lita was a champion. Yes, Lita got her shots at the title. But the face of the women's division back then was Trish. Lita was the better in-ring performer. Lita was a better promo cutter. I think Lita should have been the face of the women's division, and she was not, again, because of what Trish brought to the table. She brought the looks, and she got better, but she wasn't very good at the beginning. The worst in-ring performer? I could name about 10 of them. Stacy Keibler sucked. Tori Wilson was fucking terrible. Kelly got better, but she was god-awful for the longest time. Who else? Terry Runnels really was never very good. In fact, she wasn't even really a performer. She was more of a mouthpiece / manager type deal. So yeah, I mean, I could name off a few. The Tori was Sable was actually, I'm gonna go with fucking Sable. She was fucking horrible. There is no way that small of a woman could pick up a 240-pound man in powerbomb. Are you fucking kidding me? Give me a fucking break.
I've got a couple you didn't mention. Cum Dumpster, which was mentioned earlier, though. Nicole Bass. She was just fucking roided out.
Yeah.
Nothing. And one that I wasn't watching the chat, maybe it was said in the chat, but I didn't hear it from you guys, is Jillian Hall.
She could actually wrestle a little. She was a lot like Kelly. She could still wrestle a little. Not a lot, but she could wrestle a little bit. Just a little. Not great. I'm not giving her that much credit.
The day she pinned Mickie James for the women's championship, even though it was pulled right off for like 3 minutes later, I was not only shocked but pissed. I don't know. Maybe, Undertaker losing his streak, obviously, but there's only been a few times where I've been shocked and pissed at the same time, and it's a weird feeling.
I hate to interrupt you, but your daughter is saying hi to you, by the way.
And I said hi back to her.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I would have figured you would have said hi, not on the chat, but hi. Like, hi, Ruby, how are you?
Hi, Ruby. I didn't want to interrupt JP. Hi, Ruby.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just didn't know you said hi.
A couple of notable moments. Many were mentioned. Obviously, the China. I could mention several moments. Mae Young being powerbombed through the table by the Dudley Boys. That was a shocker to me. I mean, she was mid-70s at the time, and took
80?
that spot like a champ.
Are you sure she wasn't 80?
At the time, I think she was probably mid-70s. If Trekipedia wants to help us out with that, but
or Bobbitt.
I was.
I mean,
he's busy flailing his arms and throwing fingers at a NASCAR race.
So we're gonna interrupt this little show. What are you doing, Bobbitt? Why are you flipping the camera off?
Fucking Ricky Stenhouse needs to jump off of a goddamn bridge.
Okay.
The fucker cannot jump a fucking race car.
Okay. You can mute now. It's all right, man.
Okay, and the last one I wanted to mention out of memories, and this actually bridges us the gap to our next topic, and that is China and her winning the Intercontinental title. You mentioned that. Her entrance into the Royal Rumble. She was technically number one contender for the WWE Championship for a while before that got taken away from her. Things that no other woman has done or since have done. Which brings me to men versus women in wrestling.
Okay.
And the fact that since they've gone PG, they don't allow it anymore. They've got to be very creative about it, where the woman is always the one on offense. They can't be the one on defense. The whole reason they got rid of that was because of the, you can't hit a woman thing, and they didn't want people thinking it's okay to hit women. So, what is everyone's thoughts on men versus women matches, JP?
Right. The best men with, or just men versus women in general?
Just your thoughts overall on it. You can mention best and worst moments. You can mention whether you wish it was still around or not. Just say what's on your mind about seeing or not seeing men versus women matches.
Well, I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about Candice LeRae and Kimberly.
Right.
In the crew, as long as you look at Chris Jericho when he wrestled China, as long as there's not that big of a weight disparity, I don't mind it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on how safe the person in the ring is, and how well the woman or the guy or whoever can take a bump. Whoever can take. Mostly the women, because they are smaller, and I hate to label this because it's not fair, and I'm sure Heather will agree with me. Women are more fragile than men are. They're usually smaller than a guy that is 230 pounds compared to a 115, 116 pound woman. Yes, we see Braun Strowman that's almost 400 pounds going up against a guy that's 215, 220. I.e. Kalisto, who's not even 200 pounds, but they're more fragile. Women are just a little more fragile than men. And I don't mean that to sound condescending or that women are weak. Because like I said, if you have ever seen Candice LeRae or Kimberly, Abby Lath wrestle, they can go. I've seen them take a beating and come right back the next fucking day. The Young Bucks, super kick party on Candice LeRae, both of them at the same time. And she took it. In fact, she won that match. So it can be done, and it doesn't need to be done in a PG. It can still be done in a PG way. Yes, it can still be a story where a woman overcomes. It would make the WWE look better, but they have to tell the story that the woman is going to get over. But they have to do it where, again, the weight disparity, you can't. Like I said, women are just a little bit more fragile than men. That's the only problem. But how do you do that? Don't put them up against cruiserweights. It's fine with me. Like I said, i.e. Chris Jericho and China, they fought each other. That was actually a pretty good match, to be honest with you.
Man, she was able to keep up. She was about the same weight too, so it wasn't like having Alexa Bliss face.
She was outweighed by like 40
Roman
pounds,
Reigns.
40 pounds or so. But I mean, she was billed at 190, but she was really legitimately only like 175, I think. Wasn't she, Heather? Like 175, legit 175. She wasn't always like 190. She's 5'11", 170, 175.
Something like that, yeah.
She was not the build weight that she was. A lot of these guys that are wrestling are not billed they're just billed at that weight. Like fucking Finn Balor, they got him billed at 193. That motherfucker is no more than 175, 180. But seriously, Cedric Alexander is bigger than he is. So, But it just all depends on the how safe the competitors are. Because there is that risk of concussion. Oh God, the guy just broke his ankle. Sorry, watching skating. So yeah, sorry. That's all I have. I could see it. I wish they would do it again, but do it in a way that makes sense.
Okay. Heather, what are your thoughts on men versus women in wrestling?
They definitely need to bring it back, and I think that's one way they could save the Cruiserweight Championship. Make it available to the women as well.
Interesting.
That could make sense.
That thought did cross my mind as JP was talking, and then it left because I was listening to him, but that is an interesting thought.
Because you think about it, you got these women like Nia Jax. She's over 200 pounds. Or close to over 200 pounds. And these fucking toothpicks they put her up against are no competition. No matter how well they try and sit there and make that storyline, that little 5'0" Alexa Bliss can beat the shit out of Nia Jax, it does not add up. Can fucking put her in with 205 Live. Make her a cruiserweight.
Anyone you see actually being in mid-card contention out of the current roster, like an Asuka or a Charlotte?
Absolutely, the two of them.
You think so?
I see them very easily going up against somebody like Finn Balor.
Oh, yeah.
Or Nakamura.
Well, maybe.
Especially Asuka. I mean, come on.
Asuka versus Nakamura. That would be interesting. Would you not want to see that?
Honestly, that would actually be a pretty interesting match, to say the least.
If they allowed it in the fucking 2K18 game, I would simulate it for everybody. And just like, how awesome is that?
Yeah, Nakamura is only 220 pounds, so I mean that wouldn't be. I mean it's 80-pound difference, but because Asuka's like 140.
Yeah,
but
you're talking to somebody here who can and has on many occasions lifted a fucking box that weighed the same amount as me.
Yeah.
Because of where I work.
Yeah.
So it's 40-pound difference is not going to make that much of a difference.
No.
Not in professional wrestling. It's got to be in the hundreds for you to actually go, oh shit, look at Kalisto next to Braun Strowman.
But they still did it.
Right. Well, because it was the David versus Goliath thing, you know. But, I mean, really, Asuka and Nakamura, they could literally just kick the shit out of each other. And I say that it literally, just kick the fuck out of each other and then someone pretzel up the other one, and there's your match.
Let me say this real quick. Anthony, when you say you want Nia Jax versus Braun Strowman, no. That's too much. Nia Jax is too flippin' slow. And like I said, it's nothing against her. Braun Strowman would kill her. He would kill her.
He can want that match if he wants.
I would not want it. That is one thing I would not. Braun Strowman does not need to be wrestling against women, period. Too big. Too powerful.
Bobbitt, are you too wrapped up in the race, or do you still want to have a say in this? Yeah, he's gone.
Anthony, they aren't going to do a hardcore championship anymore. They won't do any of that crap anymore. It's done, over with, but...
My thoughts on it is I enjoyed it back then as a occasional thing. I don't want it to be something that would happen every week. I mean, unless someone's like set into the men's division, like we had discussed, Charlotte potentially being able to keep up with the mid-carders. But otherwise, I would want it to maybe let me double back on that. Maybe I would want it to be a regular thing. I guess I really hadn't thought about it in the modern sense as well as I should have. But I could see Charlotte doing a run in the men's division. Maybe they work a program where they're like, you've got 6 months to prove yourself up here, or you're back down with the women or something. But personally, I didn't have a problem with it back then. I thought it was interesting, and if a woman wanted to be a part of it, maybe they made it optional or whatever. But if a woman wanted to be in a match with a man, why not? The only issue I had with it was, what would young eyes think of it? But it was TV 14.
Okay.
So the young eyes shouldn't have been on it.
When you're talking about that, that's when parents need to step in. Like you talked about at the beginning of my fucking show, of this fucking show, old gun thing. This is when parents got to step in and say, look, I'm going to tell you this now, but it's not real. This really does not happen. This does not condone you to go out and beat up women. They're putting on a show. They're putting on entertainment for you. Kids sometimes lose track of that. And I think that's what the casuals are not getting. That this is just a show. Roman Reigns can't win every fucking match every fucking time. John Cena can't win every fucking match every fucking time. Because if you're gonna fucking do that, then why even fucking do it? You might as well just let them two wrestle every fucking week and just that be the end of the fucking show. Makes no fucking sense. You're not telling a story.
I completely lost my... I was going to say I lost it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Ruby watches this show? We're not shielding her from what could potentially be said or done or whatnot. She knows that she's not supposed to say fuck. She knows she's not supposed to say shit. She calls me out on it when I say it.
Yeah, and
I'm not trying to sit here and toot my own horn, but that's called parenting your kid.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to be happening in the household to prevent kids from becoming a certain way. And that kind of goes back to the original thing that you started the show with, which we're not going back to. But anyways,
WWE,
what do you think?
Hold on, Rain. WWE was publicly owned when the Attitude Era started. So don't tell me that the backlash on it wouldn't be worth it. Yeah, it would be. I guarantee you they gain viewers. Especially if they know and they do say, don't try this at home all the time. So, I mean, I get what everybody's saying, but WWE has so limited themselves. They've backed themselves into a corner, i.e. bra and panties matches in the Attitude Era, and I keep bringing it up, but that's WWE backed themselves into a fucking corner when they did it. The only thing they fucked up with the women was during the Attitude Era. That's when things started going wrong. Then they bring Cunt Rag in, and he just wants it back because he thinks it'll get him fucking viewers. That's not what people want. They want these women to actually be able to compete in the fucking ring and be able to put on a 15, 20-minute match like Charlotte and Becky can do, or like a Trish and Lita could do back in the day, I mean, come on, people. These two fucking retards have got to fucking understand that if they want to not lose their viewers or to not lose a handle on what they're doing, they have to let these people go. They have to let them do their own fucking talking. They don't need bra and panties matches. You don't need the hottest fucking woman to hold the fucking title forever, especially when she doesn't know how to fucking cut a promo. I'd much rather have Charlotte hold the fucking title forever because she can fucking wrestle. She can work in the ring. Yeah, she still needs work on her promo skills, but that woman can go. Alexa Bliss, they can't even hold a fucking candle to fucking Charlotte. Becky, Naomi. She's rotten in the ring. She can't work at all. And who wants to see Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss? Not me, because that would be a squash match.
Could be quite literally, too.
Yes, Cody, I know. I was going to say that. Yes, Lucha Underground lets the women fight the men. But think about this. Not all of the men are that much bigger than the women. You got to think about this. A lot of the wrestlers in Lucha Underground are cruiserweight size. Look at Ricochet. He was Prince Puma in Lucha Underground. He's only 190 pounds. He fought Ivelisse, who's 120 pounds, I think. But they know how to work in the ring. They're all luchas. They've been doing this for a while.
With this topic we've got going on, I've seen at least one person ask to call in. You want to do a phone call or two before we move on to the next topic?
It's just a phone call, though. If they've got a question, that's fine.
Yeah. I'll watch the chat if anyone. I know I saw you guys out there earlier, but request now. We'll add you in if you got something to say on the topic. And we'll just kind of, if there's multiple callers, we'll have a few of you call in and just see what your thoughts are.
So we're ready for him to come in?
Yes, Rain. Yeah, it's fine. I'll talk while you get him in here. Rain, it can be done. The WWE just has to make it known that, hey, this isn't real. We're not really beating up women. We aren't condoning beating women. Like I said, you need to tell the story how the woman is going to win in the end. Yes, a woman will win in the end. They may not always win the match, but in the end, that something good will come of it. That is how you make the story. Yes, there are women out there, the heel women, yes, they deserve to get beat up. Got it. You got to tell the story, though. It's a story, people. It's one thing people have got to remember. It's a story. It's not real. It can be done. They do it in other promotions. And they aren't being condemned. They think it makes for great TV.
Yeah, I haven't heard one single criticism, even like on Twitter and social media, anything. I've not heard a single person say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this organization is still doing men versus women matches or intergender matches. Hell, the indies still do it. We've had a couple in Kansas City over the last few years. I mean, it wasn't like the local news stations were losing their shit over it. They probably weren't covering it either, but...
I'm asking Heather a question. What do you mean the WWE is not smart? Are you talking about what we're talking about?
Yes, they're not smart enough to run that kind of a storyline anymore.
Elaborate. Go ahead.
It's probably
The floor is yours.
Probably true.
The floor is yours.
If you look at their booking lately, I mean, between the booking, how they're running storylines, how they're putting people together, none of it makes sense anymore, and none of it is consistently working to the point that it can be something that makes sense.
Yep. Nope. I agree with you. Yeah, they can't do it, but they can. They have to get the right bookers, the right writers, the right creative people in there to fucking make it happen. I think that's what you're going with, Heather?
Thank you for finishing my point.
I'm sorry. I'll shut up. Hashtag I'm fired. I'm going to mute.
No. That was all I had to say.
Hi, guys.
Finish it for me. How you doing, Marge?
Hey, Marge. How's it going?
Pretty good.
There you are.
Pretty good. Sorry. I noticed that you guys had added me, and I was outside looking for my dog. So, but either way, I'm here. Just listening to how you guys were on and everything, and I was totally agreeing with JP on the whole. I don't see how you'd have ever Nia Jax against Braun Strowman or anything like that, because it's just the disparity is just, you just can't do it.
Well, I was just talking about Braun Strowman in general.
Oh, okay.
Just Braun Strowman in general. I'd never have him against a woman. There's other ones out there I could see. Let me see. I don't know about Cena. Cena's he's a pretty safe guy.
He's actually wrestled against women before.
Yeah, Finn Balor. He AA Lita.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's safe. Yeah, there's a few out there. It's just Strowman is too big and he's too. What's the word I'm looking for? He's not wild, but he's still green in the ring, too green in the ring to do something like that.
Mm-hmm. He's untrained a little bit in that area.
Well,
Unrefined is the better word to use, I think.
What's that?
Did you say unrefined?
Unrefined,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's good. I mean, he's good in the ring, but he's never had to face a woman, so I don't know if he would be able to do it just yet.
He would need a woman like China or Nicole Bass.
Yeah.
Somebody who's almost the same height as him and is damn near the same muscle build. That's the only way he would be able to learn, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know about China, Heather. He's too big. The guy doesn't know.
She went toe to toe with Triple H. You got to remember that. She had no problem going toe to toe with him in real life. Not even inside the ring, in real life.
Oh, I know. But you got to remember, he outweighs Triple H by 120 pounds as well. I don't.
Doesn't?
I don't know. We'll never know because China's not here anymore. But if they do it, it can be done. I just let Braun Strowman get a little bit more seasoned in the ring. If that makes sense, does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
I could see it with others. Just Braun Strowman, not yet. Not.
I could see Seth Rollins.
Yeah, me too. He's only 218 pounds. I can see it.
As well as Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, he's only 225. Yeah, yeah, there you go. There's another guy. Yeah, Seth Rollins has come a long way from when he was that guy that was just as stiff as fucking Sasha Banks was. Remember that, or did everybody forget that? I mean, he did take out fucking Finn Balor's shoulder. That guy was stiff in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. While we've got someone else on the call, we can move on to another topic here. I've got a question for everyone here on the call. Did Fuckface make Hulk Hogan, or did Hulk Hogan make Fuckface?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, JP, I'll go ahead and let you go on this one.
I just told you which one came first, the chicken or the egg. You're never. What I'm trying to say is you're never going to get a straight fucking answer because they both think they created their own character. Fuckface thinks he created him, and Hulk Hogan thinks he created him. Hulk Hogan was Hulk Hogan before he went to WWE, though.
And he's asking personal opinion, I think, not actual news footage.
You want my personal opinion?
Yes.
I think Hulk Hogan created Hulk Hogan. He was Hulk
Hogan. No. The question was, did Fuckface did he make Hulk Hogan who he was, or did Hulk Hogan make what Fuckface has accomplished? So basically, Fuckface had the platform. Hulk Hogan had the character that took him to new heights. So who made who?
Well, Hulk Hogan made Fuckface. Is that what you're asking? Hulk Hogan made Fuckface. Yeah. Hulk Hogan made Fuckface. Yeah. He's the one that made Fuckface all that money.
Would WWE be here to this day if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan?
They'd still be here, but I don't know if they'd be as big as they are. Okay.
That's kind of where the question
I
was
think-
getting at.
Yeah, I think it'd be they'd still be doing regional promotion.
Okay. Heather? Sorry.
I have to agree with JP, but at the same time, I have to disagree with him.
What? You're
Okay.
fired.
Fuck you.
Go ahead.
Yes, Hulk Hogan had the star power, he had the name, he had all of that combined and all that machismo and brought it into the company. However, I think it took a lot of refining from Fuckface to have him rein in that energy and actually make Hulkamania something worthwhile. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's more a case of Fuckface made everything the way it should be. Because, as we all remember, yes, Hulkamania ran wild on everybody, and yes, Hulkamania was one of the best promotions ever out there on the market back in the day. So,
It's so hard to say because they kind of made each other, to be honest with you. So that's kind of a tough one to ask or answer because they both made each other. If it wasn't for Vince McMahon, oh fuck, that's 41.
Yes, and I don't owe one for making you win.
If it wasn't for Fuckface and his platform, Hulk Hogan wouldn't be as well known as he is today, and vice versa. If Hulk Hogan didn't come to the WWE and wasn't as big of a star as he had become or was gonna be, again, the WWE probably would just be a regional promotion.
here's the thing though.
Okay.
All this talk about Hulk Hogan. What if he had brought The Undertaker earlier? Because The Undertaker wasn't too far behind Hulk Hogan.
To be completely honest with you, I don't even think Hulk Hogan made the WWE. I think The Undertaker did. Hulk Hogan started it. The Undertaker actually transcended it and took it where it is today, in my opinion.
I will say Hulk Hogan came in '83 when Undertaker was 18 years old.
Yeah.
So it might have been a little early.
He was only like 4 or 5 years behind, though. He wasn't that far behind him.
So
well, no, Hulk Hogan debuted in '83. Undertaker was early '90s.
Right.
So
I thought you were trying to say that Undertaker could have came in before Hogan.
Oh, no, not before Hogan, no. But I'm saying, say he did not bring Hogan in at all, and maybe brought The Undertaker in like 89 or 90, instead of like 93 or 94.
He came in 90.
No, he didn't.
Trekipedia? Bobbitt? I'll bet a shot on it.
Undertaker came in '91 at Survivor Series. If you remember, he debuted with the Gobbledygooker.
Oh, that would have been 91. Where did I get 90 from? Yeah, anyways. All right, I have a shot then, I guess.
No, Vince McMahon did not make... I said it again. Vince McMahon Sr., which is what Chauncey said, made Hulk Hogan. No, he did not. Hulk Hogan has not always been with the WWE. He was in the AWA. I've said this before. The very first wrestling match I seen was Hulk Hogan versus Nick Bockwinkel. When Hulk Hogan won the title from him, but the title was stripped from Hulk Hogan because of an illegal pin or something. Like, I can't even remember. That was the very first match that I seen. Yeah, Hogan was Hogan in AWA.
So, Merge, what do you think about this?
I think he's out finding his dog.
No, I'm here. I was actually listening to JP, and I was thinking about who created who. To me, I think you could say both helped create each other, but then again, as JP is saying, Hogan was Hogan before he came to the WWF, and the problem to me is I don't see, without a star like Hogan, there's no way that WWF could have nationalized. You wouldn't be buying out all the territories as quickly as you did. And also, Hogan was basically the tip of the iceberg that kind of brought in a lot of the other talent to some degree or other. A lot of them came in because of how big the company started getting. So they started swapping up all of these wrestlers from other territories. They started bringing in guys like, Ravishing Rick Rude, all these guys from the AWA, all these other guys from Smoky Mountain and all that stuff. And all of it started because of Hogan. I mean, at least that's the way I see it. So, I mean, I don't see how you could. So, I mean, I guess I think Hogan deserves a lot of credit for it, because I don't see how without him the WWE becomes anything more than a regional territory.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Because The Undertaker transcended what Hulk Hogan did. The reason I say that is Hulk Hogan would have made it more, I'm going to hold the title forever. Because that's what he did. He held the title hostage for fucking years. And it got really old real quick. People were getting sick of him having the title. Like, I was actually kind of getting sick of him having the title all the time.
It still ain't stopped 30 million.
Randy Savage have it.
It still ain't stopped 30 million people from tuning into Saturday night's main event to see him wrestle.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. Maybe but are you sure those 30 million? And I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be right. Are you sure those 30 million people weren't tuning in to get to see if somebody could beat him?
Well, it could have been. It could have been his opponent. But if you ask WWE and the way they plan out who gets what portion of the ticket sales, they're going to say it was Hogan.
Well, of course they're going to say it was Hogan, because he was the biggest star they had. He was their champion. That's what fuckface did. It's the same. That's why I call Roman Reigns the Hulk Hogan of today. It's a formula that fuckface does. I'm gonna pick one guy, and this one guy, I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna push him and 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 push him. I don't care what anybody fucking says. That's what he does.
I think there are a lot more Hogan shirts than there are Roman shirts now.
You're missing the fucking point, Drew. I get that. What I'm saying is that is who Hulk Hogan is today, is Roman Reigns. They want fucking Roman Reigns to be the man. Same.
Right, I get your analogy.
Yeah, it's same with John Cena. I can't really say Stone Cold. It was much better done during the Attitude Era with Stone Cold and The Rock, because there was two guys at the time. Right now they don't have anybody else. And back then they had Macho Man, but they didn't want Macho Man because he didn't look the part to them. Hulk Hogan did.
I think Heather had something to add to this.
I've seen it. I'm done. I'm going to shut up now.
You're going on and on about this. Meanwhile, Bobbitt wrote an article about it. saying exactly what you just said.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. It's true, though. But I get it. It's a formula that he does. And it's not the superstar. Again, it's not the superstar. It's the creative and the booking is the problem. It's not the superstar. You heard me. I said don't blame the superstar. Blame those that write the story.
Did you see what TSS2 said in the chat?
No.
Now, JP, out of 30 million viewers, I would think less than 2 million hated Hogan.
I don't know about that. I guess I was one of those 2 million people because I got fucking sick of him having the title all the fucking time. I would have much rather have had fucking Randy Macho Man Savage over there. He was a much better superstar.
I feel like if I was older at the time, I probably would agree with you, JP, but my perspective, my wrestling memory is that of a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old. So
I get it. And do you see what I'm saying? It's the same thing with today. It's exactly the same thing with today. And I'm not cutting down Roman Reigns here. I'm not fucking doing that. The guy can work in the ring. He's 10 times better than Hulk Hogan was. Hulk Hogan had 2 fucking moves. You know, he had a leg and he could punch somebody, and that was it. He could body slam somebody, whatever. He couldn't even pick Andre the Giant up and give him a legit body slam. That's how bad he was.
He had this ability to get the crowd behind him.
I get it.
Like the cheers in the crowd in 1986 versus the cheers in the crowd for Roman today. He had some. It didn't matter to the people back then whether he knew how to wrestle or not. And I'm not trying to argue with you or anything. I'm kind of thinking out loud as this kind of all dawns on me. That it almost didn't matter. He was just beating the bad guy, and no one cared about anything else.
There's 2 reasons behind that, Drew. 1, it was Hogan. And all those 7 and 8-year-olds like us were growing up. And 2, charisma.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I was definitely thinking that as I was saying that was Roman comes out there and goes, ugh. Ugh. But Hogan was like, you could tell he was happy to be there and happy to fight for everyone's honor or whatever the fuck he was doing, you know.
I agree with everything you're saying. I'm not saying that he wasn't happy to be there. He wasn't happy to be doing what he was doing. It was more or less. It's just he got old. He got stale.
Right.
And thank God back then it was about beating up the bad guy. It's a kind of another thing that the Attitude Era kind of messed up on when they pushed Stone Cold. He was a heel, or was he a heel? Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They pushed him, they made him, and then that's why we have the mentality now that you and I argue about all the fucking time. Does it really matter if it's a heel versus heel or a face versus a face? That's the problem that WWE has today. It's a problem. It's a problem. If they tried it and it didn't work with Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. Remember that? WrestleMania?
Mm-hmm.
That match was fucking terrible. Terrible. Even as a kid, I was watching that and I'm like, this sucks. I quit watching WWF after that for a little bit. I didn't care. The match lasted fucking 10 minutes. That's why I don't care about fucking Brock Lesnar and fucking Goldberg. Nobody cares about that shit. Give me a 5-minute match, suplex, spear, match over. I don't care. I really don't care.
I think your issue, though, with Hogan and Warrior and Brock and Goldberg, I don't think it mattered whether they were faces or heels, to be honest. It was the quality of match they gave you.
Yes, and that's
I think it's maybe clouding your thoughts on whether faces versus face.
But that's why I have an issue with that face versus face. Are they going to give you? Are they going to give you that match where I don't want to hurt you kind of fucking mentality? Because we're
in the case of AJ and Nakamura, the answer is no. It's not. It's not going to make a difference. AJ's going to be that more rugged face, while Nakamura's going to
still would have one be more of a heel than a face. Even though they could both be a face, make one a little more of a heel.
Then that's a face versus face match. There's nothing wrong with them having a different attitude about the way they come into the match. They're still both faces.
But that's what I'm saying. One's got to have a bigger attitude. You can't go into the match, hey, we're good friends, let's beat the shit out of each other. That makes no fucking sense. We know that they're really legit friends, but in the story, it don't work. To me, it don't make sense.
But I think you're going to get a more rugged AJ out of the deal. By the time April rolls around, you're going to have the more rugged, I'm here to win AJ, where Nakamura's still singing nursery rhymes and making people laugh.
I don't think he's going to be doing nursery rhymes. I think you're going to do nothing but hear him say "need a face" for the next 3 months, 2 months. Maybe he'll say some more stuff, but I don't think you're going to get the sticks and stones may break my bones fucking bullshit ever again. That's done, in my opinion. I just don't see it happening anymore.
Broken Cody, we've kind of slightly gotten off the topic a little bit. We've let the conversation kind of carry itself. The original topic, though, was fuckface. Did fuckface make Hogan, or did Hogan make fuckface? And if you'd like my opinion on that, before we move on to something else, is I think it's kind of what Heather said. It's a little bit of both, but I think I have a different reasoning for it. I think WWE would have gotten over eventually. Now, whether we would have had the same attitude era that we had, whether we would have had the same experiences along the way, I think we would have been pretty close because it was still the same people that got hired. Now, it's like the butterfly effect. If Hogan had never been there, they wouldn't have had the money to maybe pay for some of the wrestlers that they had. At the same time, Hogan made all that possible. So I think the answer is somewhere in the middle, and like what you said, JP, a little bit of the chicken and the egg. You'll never know. It's the fucking butterfly effect.
Bobbitt, say what you said in the chat. Sorry, I want Bobbitt to say what he just said in the chat.
Gotcha.
They both needed each other.
There's your legit answer. If they didn't have each other, because I'm telling you right fucking now, the WWE would probably still be a regional promotion if they didn't have each other.
If you're saying that as an opinion, yeah, that's fine. I like I said, it's kind of the butterfly effect. I don't think we'd ever know. I think they probably would have found some sort of mainstream stardom, because that's what fuckface originally set out to do before he even signed Hogan. He was going national, and he may have went with Macho Man and had Ted DiBiase be the big heel. And maybe the history would be that Ted DiBiase is a former WWE champion, and Macho Man was the one that carried everything into the next era. Maybe we could be sitting here, if Hulk Hogan never existed, maybe we could be sitting here talking about Tito Santana as the greatest wrestler of all time. Or the most important thing to WWE, and the whole conversation could be: did fuckface make Tito Santana, or did Tito Santana make fuckface? So I'm agreeing with what you originally said, JP. I think it's the chicken and the egg, and you'll never fucking know. Yep. But it's a hell of a topic.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on that one?
Well, I was thinking, Drew, with what you just said right now about the butterfly effect. On that note, I mean, if Hogan never exists and everything more or less tries to fall into place the way you were surmising, then you could possibly have had a future where we can't even talk about WWE because it no longer exists because WCW would have won the Monday Night War.
You think? Okay. Did I hear that right? I'm sorry, I missed a little bit of that. Did you say that you think WCW would have won the Monday Night War without Hulk Hogan having existed in
Well,
WWE?
The reason, I mean, like Bobbitt said, they needed each other, and I think to me, I think Hogan was the catalyst for a lot of the beginnings when they started going national, because he was basically the linchpin for the rock and wrestling stuff and all the MTV stuff. So without Hogan and all of that mainstream publicity, I don't know that you could have done as much with Macho Man and the rest of them and the rest of those guys. Not that they weren't viable, but there just wasn't that connection. Granted, Hogan basically did for the WWE in the 80s what Rock and Stone Cold did in the Attitude Era. But especially Rock with going mainstream and putting wrestling and all that out in the forefront, to where WWE became huge especially in the Attitude.
True, Broken Cody. But for the WWE, yes. But wrestling would still exist. Wrestling existed long before Vince McMahon Sr. was born. So I'm going to disagree with you here, Merge, on that. If it wasn't for the money of the McMahons, they would not have done rock and wrestling. They would not have done the MTV thing. So that comes back to the whole point. You needed both. Both needed each other in order for it to. So it's a chicken or the egg thing.
Yeah, and what that does is it creates everyone having their own opinion. And at the end of the day, I don't think anyone's totally wrong or totally right. I think we all have a good point as to what it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, you can say Hogan, you can say fuckface, but ultimately, without each other, the right answer is without each other, they wouldn't have anything. Like I said, they'd just be a regional promotion.
Okay. I think I've got a quick one. I've got a quick one here. I know we're running short on time, but I got a quick one here. Pillman pulls a gun. Mm-hmm. What are your guys' thoughts on that segment? The fact that they had to apologize for that, but yet a year or two later, Austin's pulling what would turn out to be a fake gun. Not that we knew that at the time. On Fuckface.
Yeah.
So I got thinking about this the other day when I had heard it on maybe Joe's show. It had been brought up on Out of Nowhere or something. But Pillman pulled a gun on Austin. You heard the shots fired and everything. People freaked out. The feed broke. They had to go out and apologize. But then yet a couple years later, it was okay. So what are your thoughts on that whole the whole situation altogether? Heather?
Yeah, because I'll be back. I gotta pee.
The whole thing with that, I think the whole reason why they had to apologize for it was because of the fact that Brian Pillman pulled off that crazy main character so fucking well that people could very easily picture him having a gun and pulling it on Austin.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that being the case. But as far as Austin pulling that fake gun on Vince McMahon, we all kind of had a thought of, yeah, there's no way, with all the security and all the police there, he's going to have a real gun in a ring. We all had that thought. I know I did.
I actually didn't. I wasn't sure what the hell was going on, to be honest. But and I might have seen it. I might have missed that show and seen it at a later time. So I think I came into it knowing that someone's head didn't explode in the ring, and that no one got arrested or anything. But there was a part of me that I can recall thinking, how did they get out of this scenario? Because I know that nothing happened to anyone. So maybe that doesn't really have to do with exactly what we're saying. But the Pillman thing, I was really, I mean, like, and I think this was on Out of Nowhere this week, because Joe even said he knew years earlier that wrestling was fake. But when he was watching that, the thought in his mind was, holy shit, someone's getting shot. And I thought the same way, because I had known for years prior wrestling's fake, it's a show. But seeing that, it was, and I think Rain said it earlier, he was wondering if it started the Attitude Era. It didn't necessarily, but it was one of the early signs of the Attitude Era. And we had never seen that before. We had seen the bad guy face the good guy. We had seen people look at themselves in mirrors. You know, the barbershop window was something that really made people's jaws drop, because it wasn't exactly Attitude Era, but it was more extreme for that time period. I think Pillman pulling the gun was the first time we went, holy shit, did that really happen? So, JP, I heard you come back.
Yeah. So what was the question again? I'm sorry. I had to pee so bad I fucking...
No. But the question was, and actually, I mean, the question's kind of evolved from there, but the original question was, Pillman pulled a gun, the shots fired, it all seemed real, and they had to apologize later for it, but yet a couple years later, they didn't have to apologize for the Austin and fuckface Bang 316 thing. And I just wanted a roundtable random thought discussion on what you thought of both scenarios, the whole gun thing, but specifically in my notes, it was called Pillman Pulls a Gun.
I was like Cronin. I was the same. I was old enough to know that I was 20-some fucking years old, so I'm like, I know this is not fucking real. So the whole Pillman thing honestly didn't bother me, because I knew they wouldn't put that out on a show. And of course, again, I am an adult at this time, a drunk adult at that. But I was an adult at the time. I'm like, they aren't gonna really shoot somebody on TV. Come on, that they would have been running right out of fucking business that day. So why? Are you
talking about the one in the ring or the Pillman thing?
The Pillman thing. I'm going to get to that Stone Cold thing. The Pillman thing. So why are they apologizing for it? In fucking shows, somebody's always pulling, in some of those police shows, somebody's pulling do they have to fucking apologize for that? Absolutely fucking not. It doesn't fucking matter. It's a show. In fact, that show was taped. That was not live.
That's right, it was.
That whole segment was not live. So
maybe that's how I knew that nothing had happened. You were gone when I said that, but maybe that's how I... Oh, no, that was the other segment. Never mind. Please continue.
So,
I'm an idiot.
I was there for that show when Stone Cold pulled the gun on Fuckface.
You were in attendance that night.
I was in attendance that night. Everybody in that arena was laughing their ass off because he pissed his pants.
We all were at home too.
Kayfabe pissed his pants. So everybody, and you could see it because they put whatever is going on for those that are sitting way up in the nosebleed seats, they put it on the Titantron or the scoreboard above you so you can see what's going on if you can't really tell. And they literally showed on the Titantron Vince McMahon in his pants. And then you see the bang. Everybody fucking lost it. So again, it all comes back. It's a show. And it comes back to what I'm saying. People have got to realize, it's going to come back to what I said at the beginning of the night. it all comes back to it's just a show. Nobody, he should not have had to apologize for what happened during that segment. Number one, it was recorded. That whole show was recorded. They only went live every other week. So they did 2 segments, and then that's how they were able to tell a story in WWE back then. They recorded 2 shows, and then they did 2 live shows. That's why you're getting the shit you're getting today as well. But go ahead.
One thing I want to say, because Merge hasn't gotten to speak on this yet.
Bob, I think Bobbitt's got something to say too, as well.
Okay. And I know we got to wrap here soon, but when you were talking about being older when you saw the Pillman segment, you said you were an adult during that time frame, and that you really didn't buy into it. Was there not a part of you that went, I've never seen this before, something's not right here? So I think they picked their spot right on there, at least with people my age, where I'm going, I've never seen this before. This seems too real. Like maybe this is real in some facet. That thought didn't cross your mind at all. You just rolled your eyes at it.
I didn't roll my eyes at it.
Okay.
I mean,
did you think it was good TV?
Yeah, it did. It told the fucking story.
Okay.
Brian Pillman was fucking crazy. Yes, Stone Cold broke into his fucking house. I mean, it's typically what every other normal human being would fucking do if somebody broke into their house. They pull a fucking gun on them. You'd do the same thing, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody broke into my house, I mean, I don't own a gun, but I know my brother does, and he would pull a gun on somebody. And he wouldn't be afraid to fucking shoot him. I'm just saying. So...
All right.
No, you're good. And I know Bob wanted to say something, but go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I was about to turn it over to him.
That's all I had to say. But go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I watched that segment when I was 5 or 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that shocked the living hell out of me. Not only because, I'm a huge Stone Cold fan, but I think the reason why they had to apologize was because of the way that they edited the video in the house. Not only that, but Brian Pillman was such a good character that he kind of made it seem realer than what they wanted it to. So, that on top of the editing, that's why they had to apologize. When you brought up the whole fact that Stone Cold only get on fuckface in the ring, you knew that was kind of a fake gun. I mean, it was believable to me because I was a kid, but going back and watching it now on the network, you could obviously tell, he's not going to shoot somebody in the middle of the fucking ring. That's not going to happen.
Exactly.
So, that's why they didn't apologize for that segment, because you knew it was fake.
Maybe in the foot.
Good point. It's a good point. And Bobbitt brings up a great point. They're really going to shoot somebody in the middle of the fucking ring.
Right.
So, yeah.
Merge, did you have any thoughts on this?
Actually, as you guys were talking about it, I was looking it up and finding out what the history of it was, because I remember watching it at a friend's house. I mean, this friend once in a while invited us to watch Raw, and I happened to catch that one in particular. And, when I heard about all why they were apologizing or whatever, I never understood why. I'm reading it right now, and it says not only, did Pillman make his character of being insane believable, but I guess he also let a fuck slip out on live TV, and they couldn't edit it out. That's another.
That's right.
Hence what Bobbitt said, the editing part.
Yeah. Well, on top of that, one thing I remember, though, was I don't know if they had edited. I don't know if when they cut the feed or all that because it was so real. I don't know if I'm remembering incorrectly or what, but I could almost remember it sounded almost as if they had fired the gun off or whatever just before cutting the feed, even if it didn't hit anything. So, I mean, that could also be a reason they had to apologize.
Okay.
With that Merge, I think it was actually a soundbite of the gun going off, and I think it was meant to be there.
Oh, okay. I was never clear on that. So, like I said, I was probably at most 16 when that was on. Something like that. So,
let me say this real quick. We're going to touch on this fucking subject. This is going to set me off. WWE did not kill Owen Hart. Owen Hart agreed to fucking do it. Owen Hart killed Owen Hart. And it really wasn't, it was an accident. WWE did not fucking kill Owen Hart. I hate that fucking statement. It drives me fucking nuts. I don't know exactly what happened. I didn't see it happen. I think what had happened was the harness broke. Or he released the harness too early. Or something like that.
The harness was, it had an itchy trigger. It was very sensitive. It didn't take much. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have read extensively on this.
That's fine. That's what I'm saying.
If you remember a couple episodes before that pay-per-view, there was, he couldn't get the harness off, and they were all laughing at him. And it became kind of a joke because it fed into the clumsiness of his character, luckily enough. But they didn't want that to keep happening because he couldn't get the damn thing off. So they came up with a quick release latch for him.
And he hit it. Which
it either was uncomfortable on him and he was trying to adjust while he was hanging there, and it triggered the sensor,
Ray,
the latch.
I'm sorry. Rain, don't think I'm mad at you for saying it. I just, that don't make sense. How, they'd be in prison now if they killed the guy. I mean, the evidence was there to have him put in prison. It was an accident. You know, I mean, I just, and the whole fucking Bowflex thing, good God, man. I don't care. The guy killed his wife, and no, Kevin Sullivan didn't have any fucking thing to do with it either. We'll get on that too, I'm pretty fucking sure. But yeah, so I mean, don't think I'm mad at you. I just that stuff just drives me nuts when people say shit like that. Let's not, that would. Imagine if Owen Hart was alive today. Somebody died in the middle of the ring, and joking about it it's never a good time to joke about it. I'm sorry, it's just how I am. That's just how I am with that whole situation.
Mm-hmm. Just remember, people, I don't know if that was Rain's intent there, but people like to have fun with you. I mean, we threw the word Y out 20 times in the meantime as well. We just like fucking with you, you know.
I've kind of bought into that. As you know, my show is now on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays. Is called Chatting About with Cold Bones. So I'm, you know what, whatever. That don't bother me.
JP?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna step out. I'll catch you guys on Heather's stream later.
Okay.
So have a good night.
She's not doing her stream, but all right.
All right then. I'll catch you guys later.
Yep. Talk to you later, Merch. Hope
See
you
ya.
like the dog, man. Yeah. So don't think that I'm mad or upset by that whole fucking thing. It's just that. Let's be realistic. That's never anything to joke about.
Mm.
I've seen that happen in real life, and it's not pretty. It's nothing to joke about. Again, Rain, I know you were joking. I wasn't mad at you. It's just a touchy subject with me. I've actually seen somebody fall like 90 feet. We called him a lawn dart.
Interesting. So, I mean, we can do whatever you want here. We've hit the 8 o'clock hour, Central Time at least. We've hit the top of the hour. So, what do you want to do from here? Do you want to keep talking? Do we want to kind of start wrapping things up? It's up to you, man.
It's up to you. I don't care. Heather's not. You're not doing your show tonight, right? Yeah, she's not doing her show tonight. So, I mean, we can go for a little bit longer. I gotta eat. I haven't eaten yet today.
Yeah.
We don't want to waste
I don't
all
want
your
to throw.
topics, though. We don't want to waste all
Yeah,
your
no.
topics.
Well, I've got plenty of topics. I just don't want to throw one out that's going to put us on another 45-minute run like the Hogan and Fuckface discussion.
That's fine.
But man, it's been great talk tonight. Great talking tonight. How about storylines that went too far? We'll finish off with that tonight. What storylines stick out in your mind that went too far? We kind of just spoke about that with Pillman Pulls a Gun. Actually, I think retrospectively they actually called that episode of Raw Pillman Pulls a Gun, and that's why it sticks out in my mind. But any other than storylines that you feel went too far?
I'm probably going to take somebody's here. Edge and Lita and Matt Hardy. That went way too fucking far. It should have never been a fucking storyline.
You
The
don't
very first time
think that...
very first time they started fucking doing it was too far. That got too fucking real, too fucking quick. I think I've said that before.
But you don't think it... I mean, if all parties involved were willing participants...
I don't care. I do not care.
Did you cringe?
I was not into that fucking storyline at all. It didn't go anywhere anyway. It got too... As Matt Hardy, it got too real, too fucking quick. Way too fucking quick.
I think what compelled me the most is the realism of it. Like, these two are going to be in the ring together, and they might actually kick the shit out of each other. And that's, I think, what compelled me the most. I'll agree with you on it. I think the story was kind of... I don't know if the word cringe or just...
He didn't want to fucking do it. Matt Hardy did not want to do that at all. You listened to that interview with him that he did. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to fucking do it. But he had no other choice. WWE's like, well, I'll try to make it work, but I'm not making any fucking promises. He didn't want anything to do with either of them two. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I was waiting to make sure you were done. Now I'm all afraid to talk.
No, I just did that. The very first time they started with that storyline, it went too far. And at the time, I didn't know that was when I come to find out that it was real. It was not a work. It was a shoot. I'm like, that's too far. That's like me. Like, I'll use an example. That's like Heather and I being in a wrestling company. We break up, and she's going out with another guy. I would say, you know what? I do not want to be a part of this wrestling company if you're going to make that a fucking story. That's how I feel. Now, I know that's not going to happen. Number one, I'm not a wrestler. I'm too fucking old anymore. And number two, I'm just, too old.
Bobbitt, have all the cars crashed, or you want in on this topic?
Yeah, I'll hop in on this topic. The storyline for me that was too far was the whole Katie Vick thing. It's just one, like JP said with the whole Edge Lita thing. That was a storyline that shouldn't have happened.
Yep.
Yes, Connor, that actually, there was a 40-minute interview that Joe posted on his Patreon here a couple months ago where it was a sit-down with Matt, it was a tell-all with Matt Hardy. And I don't know if you actually listened to that one, but that might have been where you heard that from. Did you have any others, Bobbitt, or can we turn it over to Heather?
Another one for me, for memory's sake, was probably the whole Lita's who was that one chick that was supposedly pregnant And Snitsky punted it to the crowd.
That was another one that went too far. That was
Yeah.
That was Kane and the Undertaker. That's when the Edge and Lita fucking storyline started.
It's funny, Trek just said it at the same time as you, pretty much. You and Trek are on the same wavelength here, because he was the one who mentioned Katie Beck a little earlier. All right, Heather, have you got any other ones that haven't been mentioned, or do you want to elaborate on one of the ones that have?
I have one that was not mentioned yet. Brother versus brother, and Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, where they basically almost killed each other.
Okay.
Trying to remember that one.
It was like right in the middle of the ruthless aggression era, where Matt felt that Jeff was getting all of the attention, despite the fact that Jeff had all of these drug problems and all these warnings with the company, and that Matt felt like he should be the one getting the attention and all of that, to the point that Jeff's pyro was messed up, and Jeff and the Beth at the time, the actress portraying Beth, actually was run off the road in their car and actually made Jeff sustain an injury, as well as Beth, the actress known as Beth, that was playing Beth at the time.
Yeah. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. And that's kind of where they're going. That's kind of where they made up for it with the broken gimmick. That's kind of what they... I thought that was going to legit happen again. They were going to take it too far, but it worked. That's what happens when you mature a little bit.
One that was mentioned in the chat, looks like maybe they were typing at the same time as Rain and OK Fabe mentioning the Sandman crucifixion in his feud with Raven.
I honestly don't remember that one. I'm not going to lie.
I vaguely remembered. I don't believe I was watching ECW at the time, but I have gone back and seen that. And that, yeah.
I just remember too, if you don't mind me humming here right fast.
Go ahead.
It would have to be the 2015 Bella versus Bella storyline. First of all, that shouldn't have happened, and secondly, they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And another one was Fuckface versus Stephanie.
Yeah, that one went too far too.
A couple that come to mind, and maybe for different reasons, Oklahoma in WCW was one that really pissed me off, and it was clearly a stab at Jim Ross.
Oh yeah.
He's running around dumping barbecue sauce on him, stuff and that. I mean, which makes all of us a bunch of assholes too, because we fucking rib JR all the time too. But I don't. At the time, I was like, fucking really, we're going there. Another one that I had in mind was an ECW, and it maybe wasn't a storyline that went too far, but it was a match that went too far, and it was in that scaffold match where New Jack fell on his fucking head and brain matter squirted out of his nose, and he's been twice as fucked up ever since, and it's like really, that's when you start realizing that some spots just weren't worth it.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember that one, to be honest with you.
You probably don't want to see it anyways, because it looked like a fucking murder scene.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like gory, like that kind of gory, but yeah, brain matter shot out of his nose, JP.
7, the WCW Goldust angle went too far. It didn't make any any fucking sense. It was weird. I don't know where it went. Well, I could see where it went too far when you have a little kid and it fucking got a creeper outside your window. I kind of see that. What's up, Minnesota Vikings fan? How's it going?
I've got one that actually they say went too far, and it was because of poor timing in what was going on in the world. But Muhammad Hassan.
Yep.
When they were getting ready to put the strap on him, and the London bombings, I believe. And if Adam's still here, I'm sure he could probably speak to this, but I believe it was the London bombings that happened the same morning as that episode of SmackDown where he was going to have a bunch of Hassan was going to have a bunch of his friends abduct the Undertaker, and UPN came down and said this storyline is done. We don't want to hear about it again, and they more or less wanted Hassan gone, and that's exactly what happened. And I bring that one up because I don't think it went too far. You listened to Ken's show last night, and the shooting happened, but he's like, look, I came here to have fun. I didn't come here to harp or cry or change what we were going to do. If we want to talk about it, fine, but whatever. Kind of the same thing with me. Why should WWE change their storyline? Because, I feel for the victims. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be that, but why can't we keep doing what we set out to do? And it's all story. They didn't get rid of movies about terrorists because of the London car bombings.
Yep.
Those movies didn't get pulled off the shelves. They didn't stop airing on television. So why did WWE have to stop? And so that's why I brought that one up, because it's one that I disagree with.
That's a good one.
Any other thoughts on this topic?
No. Not really. I will say this, David. When Triple H ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin with the car, they fucking did that all the fucking time in WWE. Especially during the Attitude Era. That kind of stuff didn't go too far because they didn't legit hit the guy. So that was a motion camera that did all that. Oh, that did go too far, and the Boss Man Undertaker thing, Undertaker, that went too far. The only time and we talked about this in our very first episode, that was the only time the Undertaker did not want to go along with something. He didn't want to go along with the ministry gimmick either, but it worked.
Why doesn't anyone mention Stephanie on the crucifix?
Because
I don't feel like it went too far.
No, that didn't go too far because they didn't put her up on the crucifix like they did with Stone Cold and like they did with Sandman. So they were going to, but then that's when Stone Cold came out and put a stop. They didn't put her up. Yeah. So that didn't go too far. I don't remember Earthquake eating Jake's snake.
Didn't he sat on it?
Yeah, he killed it.
But he didn't really kill a snake.
No, it was just a lump of turds in a bag or something.
It was a fake snake. It was a fake snake.
All right, well, do we want to wrap it up here and save some of these topics for next week for these fine 16 people in the chat?
Sure. And then keep in mind next week, Heather will be here. We will be streaming, sitting next to each other.
Hey, that's one less box on my phone. Heck yeah. It's hard enough seeing you and Smooth as it is.
Well, technically...
Technically, but I guess that means I just get to look at. I guess that would mean I just get to look at Bobbitt. So I would be looking at what I'm looking at now, and then if he just decided to do any antics, it would just be much bigger on my screen.
Here, Anthony, take it easy, man. All right, guys.
So we've got a whole list of topics for next week. We'll probably. We'll talk about it, but we'll probably just stick with the open forum thing for a while. Maybe just advertise a lead-off topic. But we'll talk about it, and we'll see what we decide to do.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get the fucking music. That's okay. It's not going to work. So, to end this show, in order to do the normal thing, you know where to find me. You know where to find me on Twitter. Or watching my YouTube channel. Don't know my YouTube channel, it is www.youtube.com/c/jpbaker91. And Twitter, my Twitter is @jpbaker91. Come at me, bro. Just come at me. One time. See what happens. Just saying. Where can they find you, Bobbitt? You can find Bobbitt sitting on the couch.
I am. I am quite comfortable too.
Yep. Where can they find you at, Bobbitt?
They can find me on Twitter at Foulmouth Bobbitt, YouTube Foulmouth Bobbitt, and yeah. Have a good night. Thanks for coming out. And fuck Ricky Stenhouse and his stupid ass.
Yep, Bobbitt does all of our thumbnails too, by the way. Just to let everybody know. And Heather, where can they find you?
You can find me at 4 places. You got the 2 Twitter names, which are at Goonie20 or at the Tattooed Masses. Or you can find me here on YouTube at the Tattooed Mistress or the Tattooed Masses channel. So please check them out, have fun, leave a like, subscribe, and leave some comments in there as well. Hopefully I'll be back to you guys soon.
And you?
And me.
I mean, for fuck's sake, dude. I shouldn't have to.
Well, here in about 20 minutes, you could find me at the bar about a mile down the road. But you can also find me at Gatekeeper5150. Gatekeeper5150 at Twitter.com.
And here every Thursday night. Well,
Yep.
pretty much every stream. You'll see him in the chat. You'll see him maybe on Skype sitting at the bar. We'll try to do a Druber one of these days too. We might do. Well, you don't have to do one on Saturday. We'll do a Druber again. It just depends on when.
Yeah, it just depends on timing.
Y'all have a great fucking night. I love you all. I especially love you, Heather. Drew, you can kiss my ass.
Fucking cunt.
And Bobby, and Bobby, you know I love you too.
I'm gonna call the front desk on these people. Who the fuck's yelling that shit?
Sit the fuck down, you fucking dumbass. So, y'all have a great night. I love you all. Stay out of trouble. Don't let these fucking hooligans, fucking liberal, fucking Hollywood fucking assholes ruin your fucking day. You be you. Be happy. Y'all have a great fucking night. I'm gonna fucking rant again.